The content in this video is based on publicly available information, speculation, and my own personal opinions. I am not a professional in any sense of the word, nor have I worked in any official capacity for any government or agency of authority. So I cannot confirm the existence or accuracy of any tunnels, sites, or events mentioned in this video. Everything presented should be viewed with curiosity and critical thinking, not as absolute fact. Additionally, while I strive to respect copyright law, let me just say all audio and visuals used in this video are included under fair use for commentary, education, and informational purposes. And they've been edited, adjusted, and had value added in order to be legally protected under the Fair Use Clause. Lastly, this video briefly touches on the very sensitive topic of trafficking. Now, we do not share or show any graphic or gory details, but the topic alone is very sensitive and highly controversial, or might be even considered taboo for some viewers. So, if this subject at all feels overwhelming, please shut the video off. No offense will be taken, I promise. Take care of yourself first. Maybe go relax, take a bubble bath, or curl up on the couch with your favorite book. Just take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Now, for everyone else, let's get into it. Beneath our feet, right this very second, lies another world. A world carved out of stone, sealed off from the public, and protected by some of the most powerful governments on the earth. Some people swear these secretive underground bases hold classified experiments, while others believe they're hiding something much darker. Tonight, we're diving into these government tunnels, and we're gonna dig deep to try and make sense of what's really going on beyond the surface. And of course, to expose all of the strange events and dark secrets buried below our feet. I'm Katie, this is Dark Side of the Truth, and if you're new here, we're now friends.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
In this episode of Katie Exposes It, we're exposing the stories, the rumors, and all the chilling evidence I could find behind hidden military bases and underground secret tunnels all across the United States that theorists claim connect to every major city across the United States, granting the elites, celebrities, or anyone with enough money and power ways to secretly travel around the entire country without anyone ever seeing what they are doing.
Tunnels under Hollywood, owned by the mafia. There's a tunnel under this house. Marilyn Monroe used to take all of Hollywood's A-list, and the vibes are just so off.
That's the theory anyway. And I'm talking like a whole ass secretive world that exists beneath our feet, with cities and fully completed roads that semis can drive on to make secretive deliveries of any kind. If you're picking up what I'm laying down, that is.
They live, we sleep, the alarms going off, beep beep. Time to wake up to the deceit. Our whole reality's made up by the elite.
Let's start with what's already been publicly acknowledged. Deep inside the Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado sits one of the most secure facilities ever built, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Construction began in the 1960s at the height of the Cold War, when the U.S. feared a full-scale nuclear attack. Engineers literally hollowed out a mountain of granite, building a fortress 2,000 feet below the surface of the Earth. The complex was designed to withstand a 30 megaton nuclear blast. That's over 1,000 times stronger than the blast at Hiroshima, just so you know. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex has its own power plant, water supply, and air filtration system that can seal off the facility from the outside world for months. Inside, it once served as the NORAD command center, tracking every missile, aircraft, and satellite that entered North American airspace. Hell, even today, parts of it remain active and classified. And no, for anyone wondering, it's not open to the public. If the unthinkable happened, i.e. a nuclear war, a biological threat, or a total communications blackout, Cheyenne Mountain becomes the fallback command post for the United States military, not the United States population or civilians.
And tonight, 7 News is getting a rare look inside a giant military facility tucked into a mountain. The top secret Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado Springs can withstand a nuclear attack. It's like a mini underground city, an engineering marvel. And tonight, my co-anchor Eric Connor takes you on a tour of one of the safest spots in the world.
On the outside, it looks like your typical mountain, but inside is one of the most advanced military installations ever.
We were designed for a nuclear blast.
Stephen Rose is the Deputy Director for the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, which houses 13 Department of Defense agencies. He He's bringing us inside the tunnels. These two doors, weighing 23 tons each, lead to 15 multi-story buildings.
They're made of Navy-grade steel, and but you wouldn't tell it, that we try to normalize the feel of the mountain as you work here.
At any given time, 150 to 300 people are working inside, tracking every threat to North America.
It's like a mini city underground.
The 5-acre site sits under a mile of granite and was built nearly 50 years ago.
The main tunnel was designed in Soviet time frame, when Cold War, and the height of Cold War, to allow any blast attack, to allow the blast to pass straight on through the mountains. The buildings would ride on these springs and never touch the granite. They'd essentially bounce.
The buildings rest on 1,500 of those giant springs, so even if an earthquake happened, the building would make it. All of the pipes are also built to withstand a blast.
Water, sewage, anything going into these buildings actually has to flex with the bouncing as well. So that, because it doesn't do any good if the buildings survive, the people survive, but then you don't have the electricity of the communication lines to continue the missions.
And they take care of their neighbors. When the Waldo Canyon fire broke out, crews from the Cheyenne Mountain Complex were first on scene to fight it. Outside the complex sits a 9/11 memorial, a reminder of why what they do inside is so important for all of us.
It's like running a mini city underground, both in peacetime and in wartime.
Cool stuff, right? And since the complex is so tucked away, it offers employees everything from a chapel to shops, a dining facility, even a gym and a hospital are on site. Now, employees are not allowed to bring in cell phones. They probably wouldn't work underground anyway, but no recording devices are allowed because of classified work being done inside, which is why we weren't able to get a look at everything going on there. By the way, there are 5 lakes inside that Cheyenne Mountain facility.
In the buildings underground, there are other facilities for the 300 to 400 workers. There's a cafeteria, appropriately named the Granite Inn. As everybody knows, it's not easy protecting the country when you're hungry. Thank you. There's an exercise and weight room because you can't just go work out at the 24-hour fitness during your break. All right. And if you want to find a pickup basketball game against a, say, short Jewish basketball legend, well, that happens too deep underground.
That's how we do it up here in the mountain.
And since many people are in the mountain for long hours, a little shopette provides all the needed staples, like potato chips. All the comforts of home, sort of.
Whenever you're walking through the halls, it's not like, you're seeing rocks everywhere. It's normal buildings, and so it's very easy to forget that you're underground. It's also hard to navigate in this building.
You get lost a lot?
Yeah, I get lost a lot, so.
To keep this all going, there are miles of pipes, cables, valves, and thousands of rock bolts to make sure the granite's stable.
As far as I've known, nobody has gotten hurt from loose rocks falling out and hit somebody in the head.
The place runs on Colorado Springs electricity, but there are 6 giant generators to back up power in the case of an emergency. There are 4 reservoirs like this one that can be used for cooling and drinking water.
Well, this reservoir is like 20 feet deep, and it holds about 1,000,005 gallons of water.
And a pet duck lives on this lake, but since it never moves or eats, we're guessing it's a rubber ducky.
I don't know the duck's name. You can give it a name if you want.
Cheyenne Mountain has been called America's Fortress. The facility under Colorado is the eyes and ears of the U.S. defense system, watching and listening to what's going on all over the world and even out of this world.
Next up, we have Raven Rock Mountain Complex. Tucked away in the mountains of Pennsylvania, it's sometimes referred to as the Underground Pentagon. Built around the same time as Cheyenne, this site serves as an emergency relocation center for top government officials, complete with offices, dorms, and massive communication hubs. In 2017, declassified documents revealed Raven Rock could house over 3,000 people, primarily high-ranking government and military personnel. It's so secretive that even its official staff lists and budgets remain classified. When a national emergency hits, this facility is where America's quote-unquote decision makers disappear to.
Raven Rock Mountain Complex is another underground facility located about 60 miles north of Washington, D.C. Construction on the facility began shortly after the first Russian nuclear test. The site is known as the Underground Pentagon and the Backup Pentagon, and will be used by the U.S. military command in the event of a nuclear war. The base is built deep into the mountain, about a half-mile in and a half-mile deep. It is a very large facility consisting of several buildings, some of which are 7 stories tall, connected by a series of tunnels, and can accommodate several thousand government officials and personnel. The site is also part of the United States Continuity of Operations to ensure that the government can continue functioning in the event of an emergency or a nuclear war. It dictates that either the president or the vice president should be airborne and the other in a secret bunker to increase the odds of survival of one of the two. Shortly after 9/11, President Bush went airborne on Air Force One and Vice President Cheney was taken to Raven Rock.
Then there's Mount Weather. hidden in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Known officially as the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, this base is operated by FEMA and functions as the ultimate continuity of government bunker. It's not a myth either. It's a fully functioning underground city. It has its own fire department, police station, cafeteria, and power grid. During the 9/11 attacks in 2001, key members of Congress and government officials were secretly evacuated there.
Places You'll Never Visit Part 38, Mount Weather. Mount Weather in Virginia is a doomsday bunker of epic proportions. Designed to be the operational hub of the US government in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, the complex was brought into use following the 9/11 attacks when most members of Congress were evacuated here. The complex also houses valuable paintings which were transported there between 1979 and 1981. Mount Weather is also believed to have its own air circulation pumps, TV and radio station so that those in charge can keep abreast of what is happening on the surface. US officials are denied access to the complex, meaning it's believed to have its own fire and police departments.
So these aren't conspiracies. These are confirmed government-built survival facilities designed specifically for when the surface world falls apart. Specifically designed to save the government or high-ranking officials anyway. They weren't built to help us, the public. So let's not be confused. But don't worry, y'all, because Mama's here to help. If you ever want to know where publicly open bunkers or shelters are in your area, just in case the world goes sideways, you can check out a website called True Prepper. It's got an interactive map where you can zoom in on your city and see which shelters or bunkers exist in your area and find ones that are actually open to the public. Just remember to double check before heading out to one of these bunkers because they are publicly open government facilities. So I can't speak to or guarantee your safety in those locations. However, I thought TruePrepper.com was worth sharing. Remember, knowledge is power, and Mama's got your back. Always. Now for me, all of this information begs the question. If we know about all of these bunkers and safety facilities, then how many more exist that we have absolutely zero idea about?
I was in an underground city that could hold 30,000 people at Deronkuyu. And when you go to the deepest level at Deronkuyu, there's a tunnel shaft that connects and leads out for miles in different directions to hundreds of underground cities, hundreds of them, with ventilation shafts, over 14,000 ventilation shafts that go from the surface to the deepest of levels, made with some type of sophisticated technology. Not to mention the fact that these 12 stories deep beneath the ground, the design and the style of construction is so intricate and so advanced. These people had foreknowledge on how to build this because you can't take the resources of a civilization to build Deronkuyu, which is the same level of building a pyramid, and go down there and let it collapse on you and make your cave into a grave. And then to connect these things in underground tunnels that go miles deep for miles out, we're talking about a super advanced civilization.
What's that? Oh, a former Bush official came out saying that they built an underground city secretly for $21 trillion. Okay. Yeah, her name is Catherine Austin Fitts. Now, she says that it's not just your regular tunnel with a bunch of concrete and it's just kind of plain Jane. No, she said this is a luxury city built under the United States. Okay. She said that these cities even go out under the ocean. Okay. She said that this was built specifically for the rich in case there was an extinction event for humankind. Which leads us to believe that they know something that we don't. She stated that the transportation down there is way more advanced than the transportation we have up here. Oh boy. She said that it has everything we have up here, but it's way nicer, and they even have schools, hospitals, and jails. Oh boy.
So wait, let me get this straight. There's a $700 million tunnel being built with 31 workers 400 feet down, and we're just hearing about it when the tunnel collapsed? Why is it always a secret until something goes wrong? No ribbon cuttings, no news coverage, just bam, tunnel collapse? 400 feet is not your average tunnel. Who are they making these tunnels for? All this construction sounds and people saying they crazy. Is this where it's coming from? It's giving bunker energy.
Near a small town called Dulce, New Mexico, locals have whispered for decades about a secret underground base beneath the Archuleta Mesa, also known as Alien Mountain. The Archuleta Mesa is a mountain summit situated within the San Juan mountain range on the Colorado and New Mexico border. According to legend, this base serves as a joint operation between United States government officials and extraterrestrials, conducting experiments involving genetics and advanced technology. Ranchers in the area have reported cattle mutilations, strange humming sounds, and even mysterious lights in the sky. Some even go as far to claim people have vanished near the mesa. Legend has it they were taken underground and never seen again. Every local has their own version of what may have happened to these missing people who seem to vanish into thin air at the mesa. Stories say that they were taken into the base as human sacrifices to the reptilian alien beings that are already housed deep inside the mountain. Some people swear instead that these missing people are being tested and experimented on, turning them into quote-unquote mythical creatures like the Rake, the Mothman, or even Bigfoot. And then there are others who claim that these missing people are then tortured and used as vessels to extract adrenochrome for the world's deletes. No official records prove any of this to be true, of course, but the stories refuse to die.
What are they doing at Dulce?
I think it's all strictly crossbreeding, humans with dogs and humans with cattle and all that kind of stuff. And, the stories of Nightmare Hall is true, and that's one of the levels. I think it's the 7th level, where they have all the experiments gone wrong, but for one reason or another, they don't want to kill them. So whoever goes down there, they hear the howling and screaming, and that's where all those terrible stories come from. When I met Sherry, she had seen the 7 black and white photos, but not the videotape. The security guard allowed her to make a pencil drawing of the 25 black and white photos, not all of them, but some of them. And she handed me 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with her pencil drawing of what was in those photos. And I think there were 6 pages. And those are the ones she asked me to copy in felt tip black, which I did, identical to what she had, and those I released as the Dulce papers, and they became the infamous Dulce papers. Unfortunately, I didn't sign it because I have no way to prove they were mine, except for the fact that on the Dulce papers, there's a page that went along with it that's printed from my typewriter, which an IBM executive released in 1965, and their typeface was only specific to that IBM typeface.
Right.
That's when they started the proportional spacing, and I still have that typewriter out in the garage. It's called an IBM Executive, and I had one of the keys specifically made with a Learjet so that you could type it and a little Learjet would come up.
So that's how you signatured the last page. I love it.
The typeface proved that I was the author.
Do you know how deep Dulce goes?
Let me think. I think it's a mile to where the base starts.
Correct. Yeah.
And then there's at least 7 levels under that.
Y'all want to hear a story? This story is going to take us to Dulce, New Mexico, and probably the scariest, most disturbing story I've ever looked into, ever. Dulce is the largest community and the tribal headquarters of the Jicarilla. I know it's not Jackarilla, Apache Reservation. There is a lot of high strangeness around this little place. Residents have claimed to see fast-moving lights in the sky, UFOs, and there's even reports of Bigfoot. But the strangest legend here, if you can call it that, is the belief in the Dulce base, a secret, high-tech, underground military facility, where it's said that all manner of bizarre experimentation takes place. This base is supposedly hidden in the Archuleta Mesa. Reports of strange activity here really began in the 1930s, and rumors of some type of secret military construction going on up there began about the 1940s. But it was in the 1970s that word of bizarre happenings started to really spread, when a New Mexico State trooper, Gabe Valdez, began documenting a series of strange cattle mutilations, following sightings of strange aircrafts in the sky near Dulce. Gabe also believed that the military was involved in this because of evidence found on the scene. And as he told reporters, quote, predators don't leave gas masks, glow sticks, and radar chaff. They don't leave that stuff. That's true. It's interesting, though, that this is the same time period in the 70s and early 80s when cattle mutilations were being reported across the U.S. The area around the New Mexico-Colorado border was especially concentrated with them. Maybe all of this would have just been swept up with the rest of the reports and eventually forgotten about, except that by 1979, there was another voice speaking up about this secret base. This is Paul Benowitz of Albuquerque. He was a physicist and an electronics specialist, and he began to intercept and document electronic signals that he said were coming from deep underground in the vicinity of the Archuleta Mesa. Way too many to be coming from the tiny town of Dulce and directed too high for human activity. He compiled film, photographic, and electronic evidence, and he concluded that he had discovered a secret alien base. And in 1980, he made the mistake of submitting his findings to the Kirtland Air Force Base to alert them to a possible threat to the Menzano nuclear weapons storage area, now the U.S. Department of Energy National Training Center. And in response, the Air Force wasted no time in launching a disinformation campaign against him. He continued to research, and in his notes, he noted that, quote, troops went in and out of there every summer starting in 1947. The natives do recall that. They also built a road right in front of the people of Dulce, and trucks went in and out for a long period. That road was later blocked, then destroyed. The signs on the truck were Smith Corp out of Paragosa Springs, Colorado, but no such corporation exists now and no records exist. I believe the base, at least the first one, was being built then under the cover of a lumbering project, but they never hauled logs, only big equipment. And Paul finally concluded that he had uncovered a joint U.S. government ET program responsible for not only the cattle mutilations, but also the high number of missing civilians in this area. And this sounds absolutely unbelievable, right? Like something straight out of science fiction. No way it's a real life thing. But in 1986, the first whistleblower came forward, a man named Thomas Costello, who claimed to have worked as a senior security officer at the base. He released a set of papers, 30 photographs, and a 6-minute video of the Dulce facility, all which is now referred to as the Dulce Papers. These papers described graphic accounts of what happened at this base. It described the reverse engineering of aircrafts, genetic experimentation, development of human-alien hybrids, mind control through advanced computers, even bodies held in liquid vats. Also alleged that there were numerous alien bases all around Dulce, connected by subterranean highways and with numerous entrances in New Mexico and Arizona. He also described the base, a 7-level underground facility that housed not only humans, but several alien races. According to him, these races included tall greys, small greys, which are only about 4 feet tall, so reptilians, which he notes may have been native to Earth. And he claimed that those reptilians answered to winged reptilians. I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but stick with me. He then claimed that the human employees at the base consisted of scientists, military personnel, security personnel, and employees from various corporations. Work that was done on these 7 levels get increasingly disturbing the lower we go. And what this man claimed to see on the lower levels of 5 through 7 is downright terrifying. He claimed to have directly witnessed trans-species genetic experiments. The 6th level, where humans were being used as lab rats. He said that level 7 was the worst. Quote, row after row of thousands of humans and human mixtures in cold storage. I frequently encountered humans in cages, usually dazed or drugged. Sometimes they cried out and begged for help. And he claimed that in his initial briefing, he was told that these people suffered from various forms of insanity, and that there were signs all over the base that said, quote, this site does high-risk advanced medical and drug testing to cure insanity. Please never speak to inmates. It can destroy years of work. And he said at first he believed this and performed his duties without a problem until he began to suspect that the test subjects were not insane and that maybe they were just normal people who had been abducted and taken to this lab. One day, this suspicion or this fear became too much to look away from. One day, a man in one of the cages caught his eye. The man did not look insane. He didn't act insane. And he kept repeating, quote, my name is George S. Thomas left out the man's last name, so it's just George S. My name is George S. I've been kidnapped. They are searching for me. He repeated this over and over. Afterwards, Thomas couldn't get that dude out of his head. So he had his cop buddy run that dude's name. He said, quote, it was a sickening feeling when the computer showed that George S. was missing. God, I really hope that's not where all the missing people are. Whew. Anyway, Thomas quit the base in 1979 after what he called the Dulce War. Apparently a battle that broke out between the military and some aliens. But we don't know a lot more than that from Thomas because then he went into hiding. But in 1995, Thomas's story was backed up when another whistleblower, Phil Snyder, came forward, and Phil told the story of when they were doing construction, they were drilling 4 large tunnel-like holes and their equipment kept coming back broken. So they wanted to send some people down into the holes to see what was going on. And he said when he was accompanied by Green Berets that he knew something was up. He said that when he was lowered down into that tunnel, there were standing 7-foot-tall alien greys. You know, one of these guys. He said that immediately shooting started. One of them kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me. It was some form of electrical force because it was kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt. Then he says that a Green Beret that was right behind him pushed him back into the basket and hit the button, sending him back up, and that saved his life. Phil claims that 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, and crack troops lost their lives that day, quote, because the U.S. government lied. He said, quote, They did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there. Phil Snyder became a very loud and outspoken advocate for government transparency and alien disclosure. He spoke at several public events. He also stated on a few occasions that he believed that the government was trying to shut him up. And sadly, it appears that they did, because Phil Snyder was found dead in January of 1996. Despite the numerous whistleblowers, the fat stack of papers and evidence, the disclosing of the craft retrieval programs in Congress, the Dulce base is still considered a legend and nothing more. Its existence is denied by the U.S. government and the military. Some have called the Dulce base the, quote, most classified base on Earth.
At an underground military base in Dulce, New Mexico in 1979, Phil would say that back in 1954, under President Eisenhower's administration, allegedly, the federal government actually decided to form a treaty with the alien entities, which I don't know how that works, but nevertheless, Phil actually said that this treaty was named the Greada Treaty, which basically made the agreement that the aliens involved could take cows and test their implanting techniques on a few human beings as well. But they had to provide all the details that they collected back to the government. Now, according to Phil, they completely did whatever that they wanted to do, and this is what he said led to the Dulce attack in 1979 that gave him his injuries. The rumors about Dulce, New Mexico are really far out there. I mean, I was so down the rabbit holes. The rumors about this small town is that on the surface, there's not a lot to see, but underneath the surface, there are unimaginable experiments and technologies that are going on beneath. Now, when Phil was telling his story, he would go on to say that they had to drill like 4 distinct holes in the desert, and they were going to link these holes together and blow out large sections at a time. Phil would say that his job was to go down in the holes and to check the rock samples. Phil was actually known to be an explosive expert. He was able to look at the rock and tell how porous it was and what kind of explosive would be best, and so that's what he was hired to do. Phil said on this particular day, he was headed down there and that he found himself in like this large cavern that was full of outer space aliens, or otherwise known as these like large grays.
In this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person was, or the entity was absolutely horrible. Our United States government lied to not tell us anything about the alien threat.
He said afterwards, this is when he realized or learned that aliens were not only here on the earth, but that they have been here for millions of years. Phil also said that because he was shot with cobalt radiation, that is what he ended up getting cancer from later. Phil says that he ended up spending 2 years recuperating from his injuries, which, yeah, it looked terrible. Phil had several health issues. He had chronic lower back pain, and he also had multiple sclerosis. Because of this, Phil sometimes had to use crutches, a body brace, leg braces, and a catheter, and a wheelchair. And he also had cancer in his arms, and he had many wounds, and he had a metal plate in his head, and he had missing fingers on the left hand. And the biggest scar is a scar that Phil had that ran from the top of his throat all the way down below his belly button, and he had another scar under his ribs. Now, critics say that none of this ever happened, and that, as a matter of fact, Phil had very serious mental issues. He was even diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was even put into a mental institution from 1968 to 1969 to be treated for it. They say that under stress, Phil would actually himself, and they even said, y'all, that his 2 fingers and his thumbs by himself. Now, come on. According to Phil's now ex-wife, Cynthia, she believes that Phil started lecturing because of the death of his very good friend, Ron Rummel. The police actually ruled his death as a ending of it all by putting a firearm in his mouth. However, in the police report, it is noted that there is blowback on Ron's hand, but not on the actual firearm. Because of this, Phil got really suspicious because Phil and Ron had been working on a magazine project called Alien Digest together. The magazine had recently become super popular and was getting talked about a lot. Phil believed that is why his friend Ron was ended by somebody else, but however ruled an ending of it all, if you guys know what I'm saying here. And Phil also believed that the reason why Ron was taken out was so he would not expose any more government cover-ups. So Cynthia said that Phil felt like it was time to spread the word more than ever and started giving lectures. 2 years into giving his lectures, something terrible happened to Phil. On January 17th of 1996, Phil was found dead in his apartment, where he had apparently been dead there for several days to even a week. His body was found in a very unusual position. It was also said that that was found on his wheelchair. However, when you looked at Phil's body, there was no open wounds where that could have came from. And initially, when he was found, it was ruled that he had died from a stroke or a heart attack. But then when his body was taken to the funeral home, the mortician noticed that a catheter tube was wrapped around his neck 3 times and tied off, and his body was bloated. So it went from him having a stroke or a heart attack to him ending his own life by him wrapping his own catheter 3 times around his neck. Everybody that knew him, his wife, his best friend, I listened to his wife speak to, they all said he would not have done this. But the best friend said that because of him missing those 3 fingers and there's no way he could have wrapped it around and tied it the way that it was tied. Anyways, now, from when this first happened, Phil's ex-wife, Cynthia, said that the circumstances surrounding Phil's death was very suspicious. Now, even though the 2 of them had a divorce, they were still very close and they were like best friends. So when Cynthia had found out that he passed away and she called down to the funeral home to find out information, first of all, they would not let her see his body at all. No matter what she did, they never let her see his body, which she thought was suspicious, but, okay, what are you going to do? When she was going over the autopsy report, she saw that the way that they talked about Phil's genitals was completely wrong, because he had an injury there too. I'm not going to get into too many details, but the autopsy report stated that it was completely intact. And when she saw that, she knew that either whoever did this autopsy on him was either completely incompetent or they didn't really do it and they were just kind of going through the motions. And she also said that in the state of Oregon, when a person passes away in a home, an investigation immediately has to happen. But because they ruled it an ending of it all, they didn't do like a full investigation at first. So she started to dig. When she went to his house, all of his lecture materials, all of his alien materials, the notes that he had for his alien book agenda, all of it was missing. Whoever came to his house didn't come there to rob it for money. They came there and took all of his documents. She also said that her husband, Philip, was an expert in chemicals and his own medical needs, and that he had multiple pills at hand that he could have just quickly ended his life with, quickly and painlessly if he wanted to. And he also had a firearm that he had borrowed to protect himself because he had all these people following him and running him off the road. So why in the world would he strangle himself in such an unusual manner? He fought to live. Everything that he had been through, he wanted to live. Cynthia is actually still fighting to have Phil's death certificate changed to reflect that he was murdered, and that she hopes that things that were stolen from Phil's apartment can be returned one day to his daughter Marie.
But Dulce, New Mexico isn't the only place where people say the earth opens up into something far beyond the human understanding. For our next stop, we're going to head west to the snowy peaks of Mount Shasta in Northern California. Here, you'll find one of the most mysterious places in North America. On the surface, it's just another beautiful mountain.
Have you ever heard the legend of the Lemurians, the highly technology-advanced civilization said to have been on a lost-sunken continent called Lemuria? According to the legend, some of the Lemurians managed to escape to Mount Shasta when their continent sank due to some unspecified catastrophe. There, they established the city of Telos beneath the mountain. The Lemurians are said to be tall, graceful beings with fair skin, long hair, and abnormally long necks, and they are believed to possess advanced technologies and psychic powers. The legend of the Lemurians living within Mount Shasta can be traced back to a book called A Dweller on Two Planets, which was written by Frederick S. Oliver in 1899. Oliver claimed that the book was telepathically channeled to him through automatic writing, and that he'd been taken astrally to the Lemurian city within Mount Shasta and had seen it with his own eyes. Many people have claimed to have had encounters with the Lemurians or have visited the city of Telos. Some have even set up organizations dedicated to spreading the message of the Lemurians and their wisdom. However, the existence of the Lemurians in their hidden city beneath Mount Shasta remains a highly controversial and disputed theory, with many skeptics dismissing it as a modern myth or hoax. Whether or not the Lemurians in their city of Telos truly exist within Mount Shasta remains a mystery, but the legend continues to fascinate and intrigue those who hear it.
Over the years, hikers, locals, and even pilots have reported strange lights moving in and out of the mountain, low-frequency hums, and unmarked military helicopters circling restricted zones around the base of Mount Shasta. Some witnesses even claim they've seen hidden doors in the rock face, large enough to fit trucks or aircraft through them. Doors that weren't there before. And it's not just UFOs or strange lights that keep people away from Mount Shasta, especially after dark. There's a story, one that doesn't make the news very often, but once you hear it, it just sticks with you. A few years back, a boy went missing while camping near the base of Mount Shasta with his family. The boy's parents, grandparents, and search teams scoured the area for hours to no avail, until suddenly the boy reappeared, shaken, sure, but ultimately unharmed. When the boy's family calmed him down, they asked him where he'd been and if he'd heard them calling for him. That's when the boy responded with something chilling. A woman who looked exactly like Grandma had taken him into a cave hidden in the rocks. Inside that cave, he said there were old rifles, dusty backpacks, and people frozen like mannequins lined up against the walls. But here's the part that really freaks me out. He said his grandma wasn't really her. Her eyes were glowing, like light was emitting from inside of her head, not like it was a reflection. And he said the way she moved wasn't normal. Her head would tilt side to side, almost mechanical, like a robot trying to imitate a human, or like a mimic trying to imitate a human. Then, the boy says, she told him to do something bizarre. She asked him to defecate on a piece of paper, and then she took the piece of paper from him and was examining it, like she was studying him or collecting a medical sample or something. Very strange behavior. That's when the boy said he knew something was very wrong. Then, to top it all off, she told the boy that he'd been quote-unquote chosen. Creepy, I know. The next thing the boy remembers is waking up, laying in the grass, back outside near his family's campsite. The sun already coming up. There was no cave, no footprints, nothing. And here's the part that has never fully been explained. Well, other than obviously what happened to the boy. But not long after this incident occurred with his family, locals claimed to see unmarked helicopters and armed men combing through the area where the boy had been found. Now, whether that's true or just part of the legend, it fits the strange pattern around Mount Shasta. People disappearing, reappearing, and whispering about things that move beneath the mountain.
So there's a mountain in California that's called Mount Shasta, and supposedly there's a whole city in that mountain. The legend says that in 1904, a British proctor, the guys that go find gold and stuff, his name was J.C. Brown, and he went to the mountain to go look for gold, and he found a cave, and he went into the cave, and it was actually like a tunnel, and the tunnel went 11 miles, and he found a whole little city in there, and then he found tombs in there, and the bodies in there were 7 to 10 feet tall. He found 27 of them. They looked like humans, but they just bigger. So he tried to keep a secret, but then he started being really interested in and started researching more until 30 years afterwards he gathered up 80 people to investigate it and excavate it and things like that. On the day they was about to go explore it, he went missing and they never found him again. And a lot of people think that city is still active, there's not us but maybe aliens and things like that.
This is one of the strangest missing 411 stories that I've came across. This case involves a 3-year-old boy named John who was camping with his family at Mount Shasta in California. The family had chosen to camp next to a creek because it was supposed to be a good spot for fishing. Around 6 p.m. one night, the family was cooking dinner. John was playing, and for only a moment while his parents' backs were turned, John disappeared. Like he was there one second and gone the next. The family is frantically searching everywhere. I mean, how could this little boy have gone more than a few yards away in such a short amount of time at only 3 years old? But John wasn't responding to anyone's calls, so police and park rangers got involved and everyone searched for 5 hours. The sun had gone down at this point, the family was getting desperate, but John was found safe and alive, curled up in a patch of grass. Strangely, he was found in an open area on a trail that had already been searched multiple times. It was like he had just been placed on the side of this trail where he could easily be found. So John was alive and well, the family is happy, but 3 weeks later he was staying with his grandmother, who he called Kathy because her real name was Kathy. And John told Kathy something disturbing. He said he didn't like his other grandmother Kathy as much as her. And Kathy was confused. She was like, "What do you mean, John? You don't have another grandmother that you call Kathy." This is when John told her that while he was lost in the woods a few weeks ago, someone that he called his other grandmother Kathy grabbed him. John said this woman had the same hair and face as his grandma Kathy, but she took him to a cave that was filled with spiders. She then did some sort of medical examination on John, told him that he was not from Earth and that his parents didn't know about this. John said that when he saw the other grandma Kathy in the light of the cave, that her skin shimmered and made her look like a robot. Then this being that looked like the other grandma Kathy took John back to the trail where he could easily be found. Now, maybe this all just seems like a child's wild imagination, but Kathy, the real grandmother, had been camping in the same area that John had disappeared a year before. One morning while she was camping, she had woken up outside of her tent, face down on the ground, with no memory of how she had gotten there. She also had a painful lump on the back of her head, which she thought was a spider bite. When she got back to the tent, the friend she was camping with had a similar bite, and he was really sick. The night before Kathy and her friend woke up with these bites on them, they had been hearing weird noises in the woods, so they pointed their flashlights at the trees. They saw red eyes staring back at them, which gave them an eerie feeling, but they brushed it off. But after the events of the next morning, John's disappearance and his story about the other Kathy believed that those red eyes staring back at her were whatever that thing was that abducted her grandson.
All of this strange activity has led to growing speculation that just like Dulce, Mount Shasta might be sitting on top of a deep underground facility, or even inner Earth, but still a part of the same secret network of tunnels rumored to stretch across the entire country. And when you stop and think about it, that might explain why people keep spotting semis disappearing into mountain roads or deliveries being made to restricted sites that don't officially exist. Some believe these convoys aren't just moving cargo and equipment, they're moving people. Could these tunnels be used to transport human trafficking, illegal experiments, or even like the transport of adrenochrome and other black market substances? It's impossible to prove, but the pattern of secrecy is undeniable. Because when you follow these tunnels far enough, they always seem to lead back to the same thing: government protection. Now, we've talked about Kenny Veach before on this channel, but if we're going to cover underground tunnels and secret military bases, we have to once again discuss Mr. Kenny Veach. In 2014, a YouTuber named Kenny Veach went hiking near Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, searching for what he referred to as the M Cave. According to him, he had stumbled across this mysterious cave that had an entrance that looked like a large capital letter M on his last solo hike. Kenny tells us that when he approached the entrance to this cave, his whole body began vibrating, like he was in the presence of some strange energy field or something. He said it freaked him out so bad he had to get out of there. So before he left, he took notice of the cave's location because he wanted to return to it on a later day. However, Kenny, ever since that day, can't seem to find this cave again. And it starts to really bug him because he's like, I know where this cave was. Like, I took a mental note of it, but he just can't seem to find it. And he's so intrigued by this cave that he has it like set in his heart and mind that he's going to find it again. Like, he refuses to give up. But then, after weeks of searching, Kenny vanishes. And despite massive search efforts, no trace of Kenny or his gear was ever found. Kenny Veach is a 47-year-old adventurous survivalist. He was a very experienced hiker, but unfortunately he went missing on Monday, November 10th of 2014. The story of Kenny Veach originally gained traction on the internet after Kenny posted to his YouTube channel under the name Snakebite McGee. In a YouTube comment, Kenny describes hiking near Nellis Air Force Base and finding a strange hidden cave. The entrance to this cave looked exactly like the capital letter M. Kenny, who is an experienced hiker, is adamant in this YouTube post that he always enters every cave he comes across. However, when he tries to enter the M cave, Kenny reports that his body began to shake and vibrate as he got closer to the cave. And as he got near the entrance, the vibrating got worse, and Kenny had a strong sense of foreboding or dread, and it spooked him, so he didn't enter the cave. Instead, he made a video about his experience and promised to return another day. Ominously, people were responding to Kenny's YouTube comments saying not to go back to that cave. Some commenters even warned that if he went there again, he would go missing or he would not return from the cave. However, this interaction with this M cave seemed to be a life-changing experience for Kenny because he would not let it go or get it out of his mind. He finally had gathered enough strength and courage to go back out to try and find the M cave. He took the same path that he took the previous time, and although he remembered the cave being rather easy to find, he was unable to locate it this time. However, Kenny remained undeterred, and he was still determined to find the M cave and prove its existence to all of his followers.
And I'm looking for a cave that I found, and I didn't have a sidearm when I was here before, and something about that cave just spooked me. Out of all the caves I've ever gone in, this one just made my body vibrate. The closer I got to it, the crazier my body felt, and I was like, all right, I'm not gonna go in there right now, but I'm coming back someday. So hopefully I'll find it. It's shaped like a big M. It's a big cave that looks just like a gigantic M. It's shaped just like the letter M. Well, I did not find the cave. That is so weird. I mean, I thought for sure I was just gonna be able to find it.
After Kenny's first unsuccessful attempt to relocate the M cave, he remained determined that he would find this cave. So on Monday, November 10th of 2014, Kenny told his family that he was going on a quick overnight trip to the Sheep Mountains in Nevada. And with that, he left for his second attempt to locate this M cave. Unfortunately for all of us, Kenny did not bring his camera with him, or at least we were never able to locate his camera and find any footage from this second attempt. We only know the second attempt happened due to statements from his family members. And unfortunately for Kenny Veach and his family members, Kenny would never return from this second attempt to find the M cave. Kenny was not active on any of his social media accounts for a very long time after his second attempt to find the M cave, which made his fans very suspicious of what could have happened to him. It wasn't until Kenny Veach's girlfriend went onto his YouTube channel and let his followers know that he never returned from his second attempt to locate the M cave, and that she had filed a missing persons report. The missing persons report was filed on November 14th, 2014. Search and rescue searched the area, but they were unable to locate anything other than his cell phone, but there were no tracks leading away from the cell phone. It was almost as if Kenny Veach had just disappeared into thin air. To date, tons of followers, search and rescue personnel, and internet sleuths have searched the area and never found any trace of Kenny Veach or the mysterious M cave. They have even gone as far as to create maps that shows the path he took and where he left his vehicle. And still nothing pertaining to the whereabouts of Kenny Veach have ever been recovered, other than his cell phone, of course. Some people swear that something suspicious must have happened to Kenny Veach because people don't just up and disappear. And some commenters swear that they can hear someone talking faintly in the background in Kenny's last video. Here, take a listen for yourself and make sure to let us know what you think. I don't know. Could be a stretch, but I mean, you do kind of hear something. At least I do. Some say he stumbled onto something the public was never meant to find, and that vibrating he felt all over his body at the cave entrance, well, theorists will point out the government's new crowd dispersal technology and how with just a flip of a switch, the government, at least the United States government, can project a specific frequency that makes your skin feel like it's crawling. And it's strong enough to disperse large crowds.
Pain ray. The active denial system is a current military experiment that dabbles in the idea of crowd control. Aptly named, the pain ray is a way of controlling a large crowd from a distance using long-range electromagnetic radiation. It can apparently reach targets of 500 yards away. It works by essentially exciting the water molecules in your skin, causing great pain and making people immobile. The active denial system was developed over a decade ago and has since gone through numerous modifications and improvements. Rumor has it that the military is planning to use the active denial system, or the ADS for short, to control or quell enemy lines in Iraq. However, the ray is essentially microwaving people, and although it is deemed safe, other than the excruciating pain it causes, the long-term effects of this system have not been properly reported or studied.
So, was this what Kenny experienced outside that cave? Some sort of crowd dispersing technology to discourage curious wandering civilians from entering certain quote-unquote off-limits areas? I don't know. And without any clear answers, chances are we'll probably never know the truth about what really happened to Kenny Veach. And building deep underground isn't a new concept. In the 1960s, the United States Army created Camp Century under the ice of Greenland, a city of 21 tunnels powered by a nuclear reactor, part of a secret plan called Project Iceworm. Now, for those of you who are wondering, Project Iceworm was a top-secret U.S. Army program of the Cold War, which aimed to build a network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet.
Join us as we uncover the classified secrets of Project Iceworm, a daring Cold War endeavor hidden beneath the icy surface of Greenland. Step inside Camp Century, a top-secret nuclear-powered underground city designed to withstand the harshest Arctic conditions. Discover how the unstable ice doomed this ambitious project, leading to its abandonment and the exposure of its once hidden secrets. Witness the remnants of this forgotten relic, a testament to the extremes of military strategy and the consequences of engineering ambition.
Now, if they could build that beneath the Antarctic 6 decades ago, imagine what modern technology and black budgets could accomplish today. Giant boring machines, maglev tunnel systems, classified transportation routes, all funded under vague defense infrastructure categories that no one has the authority to question. Some supporters of this theory insist there are massive, complex tunnel systems literally all across America. And according to them, these tunnels don't just connect military bases. They insist that these tunnels have a much deeper and darker purpose. Theorists say that they form entire road networks underground, where anything or anyone can easily be transported without raising suspicions or sounding alarms. For years, stories have circulated about massive underground highways, wide enough for semi-trucks to drive through, supposedly connecting to facilities, secret locations, and practically all major cities across the country.
This 3-star motel, this what really freaked me out up here by the front door. Not this. See the lantern, bro. This what freaked me out. Right by the front door. How be supposed to feel safe?
Tunnel 590 feet long and 22 feet below ground inside this abandoned Kentucky Fried Chicken. It began with a traffic stop of Yuma resident and owner of that KFC, Ivan Lopez.
Are you coming to the tree where I told you to run so we both be free? Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be if we met at midnight in the hanging tree. Are you coming to the tree where they strung up a man, they say we're running free? Strange things that happen here, no stranger would it be.
So this is one of the neat things about the U.S. Capitol. Of course, this building, construction started in the 1700s. And there are all sorts of little hidden passageways. You saw I just pulled this cover up. Yeah. And you can see if we get the camera to come over, don't fall in. We don't need a workers' comp claim today. But you can see there's a passageway. These are long stairs that used to be to be here that were closed off. We're just off of what's called Statuary Hall, which at one time was the actual house chamber. So, and it's outside there. But this is just an example of some of the little hidden secrets in the Capitol. And so one of the things when we bring tour groups in, if it's a small enough group, if it's a big group, but if it's a small group, we'll actually take them down this hall. Believe it or not, my big self have actually gotten down, and more importantly, out of this hall. I'm not going to debut that again for today, but suffice to say, I've been able to live and tell about it, get out of there. But it goes all the way down. It's an old staircase, and I'm told, I can't verify this, I'm told that this staircase, which opens to, if you go down, formally open to the outside, was one of the staircases that British soldiers used when they breached the Capitol during the War of, I think it was 1814, when they actually attacked Washington. When they came in, it was one of the stairs that British soldiers actually came up. So a lot of just amazing history in this building. And so when folks come from North Carolina, we try to show things that if it's a small enough group, things are timed right, and actually let folks go down there. The kids seem to love it. A lot of older folks, not so much. But it's just one of the neat things about the Capitol, as well as the other day-to-day things that folks see all the time. Thought I might share that with you.
In recent years, videos appeared online showing semi-trucks entering tunnel systems in remote areas. Believers say these could be supply routes for food, materials, or classified cargo. Others claim they're used for trafficking operations that will never be declassified.
Yes, every 40 seconds a child goes missing. I know y'all don't know me, but I've been on this conscious journey for a while. I've been seeking information for so long. This is what I posted on my Instagram just 41 weeks ago. But as you can see, look at the U.S. trafficking hotspots up here, honey, and look at where the underground tunnels be, snatching their asses up, going straight on the bottom of the ground. Like, that is just crazy, right? Not a coincidence either.
There are underground tunnels that are under the schools, elementary, junior, and high schools all over the place. They exist everywhere.
You've been in
I'm sorry?
You've seen
Yes.
these? Been in these?
Yes.
Where do
Yes,
they lead?
they lead to amusement parks, they lead to hospitals, cemeteries, schools, celebrity homes, psychic shops. They lead everywhere.
You mentioned in one of your previous interviews that it's like a whole other world down there. Can you describe it to us? What happens down there?
Yes, there's every means of transportation. There's every walk of life. There's cities. There's different air supplies. There's cities underground. There's warehouses underground. There's actual homes underground. People build these tunnels, and they've built them for decades. There's a lot, and elite celebrities, they go down there for parties. Underneath the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California. I was there for a cock party. We walked through the museum, through the garden area, and employees led us to underground tunnels. We had to take an elevator and stairs. We had to be led. There is no way that you can just walk into a tunnel. The entrances and the exits are in your face, but there's no way that you can just walk through tunnels. You'll get stuck. You'll go deeper and deeper, and you won't be able to come back out because it's hard, because the tunnels run all different directions for miles and miles and miles and miles. So if you go down the wrong one, you'll get stuck, and it's confusing to turn back around and get back to where you're going. So you have to be led in and out. I think people assume that when you get underground, it's just this dirt, and you keep going deeper, and there's more dirt, and then there's cages. No, that's not how it works. The Playboy Mansion. The Playboy Mansions. I met some really elite people when I was there. I had to do jobs with some elite celebrities.
Now, of course, none of this has been proven, but the sheer number of accounts and missing people keeps the theory alive that beneath us, there's a hidden logistics network moving constantly and unseen by the public. All across the American Southwest, people have reported hearing deep mechanical humming sounds or vibrational-like noises coming from what seems like under the ground with no clear source.
I have no idea what's going on, but listen to this. There's something under the ground, and it sounds like like it's about to bust out. Holy crap. It's over here in the field.
What was that?
Some call it the Teos hum, but others believe it's evidence of underground drilling or transport systems connecting secret bases like Dulce and Area 51 with the rest of the world. Scientists, of course, say that it's natural seismic activity or resonance. But locals, on the other hand, insist we're hearing something else moving around down there. From documented bunkers to whispered legends, one thing's very clear. The deeper we dig, the more questions we have. Are these tunnels simply relics of the Cold War, or are they part of something secretive that's still in operation today? Maybe, just maybe, the truth really is buried underground. If you want me to keep digging into the hidden world beneath us, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, drop a comment saying which base or theory you want me to uncover next. I'm Katie, this is Dark Side of the Truth, and we've officially reached the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for your time. Seriously, it means the frickin' world to me. Do me a favor and comment Dark Truth down in the comment section just so I know that you made it to the end of the video. And with that being said, I don't think I need to ramble about anything else. So thank you guys so much for your time, and thanks for helping me choose this video topic idea. I posted a poll on YouTube, and this was the option that won, so hey, this is what we went with. Just a heads up, I think we're gonna go to Mall World for my next video, because that is so intriguing to me. So if you haven't heard it, or like don't even know what that theory is, get ready, because I'm gonna break it down, I think, in my next video. It was suggested to me by a subscriber, but I think it's a fantabulous idea. So anywho, I'm gonna hop on out of here. I love you all so much. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.